In 2002, fans of both Disney and Square Enix were greeted to the release of a brand new series called Kingdom Hearts. This game served as the first entry in this long-running JRPG series that combined aspects of the Final Fantasy franchise with that of Disney's classical animated films. And yet, somehow, it worked because the franchise was a huge success and is still going to this very day. The first game was released exclusively on the PS2, with development being handled under their former name, Squaresoft, and direction was handled by Tetsuya Nomura. But the game will receive a re-release in the form of the Final Mix Edition, which added new cutscenes, enemy redesigns, and new bosses as well, which is the standard version that has been used for the HD port, so I'll be covering this version today. Hey, my name is Jude, and if your friends have never been your power before, then I'm here to tell you what is Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix. So let's get that story out of the way, shall we? We begin on the Destiny Islands, where our player character finds himself attacked by these shadowy creatures, where we're then introduced to our main characters, Sora, who's got some big old clown shoes, Riku, an edgy Sasuke wannabe, and Kairi, who is just kinda there. But one day, Sora is visited by the stranger who rambles on about stuff we don't care about, like how the island is about to be consumed by the darkness. Wait a minute. But through the power of friendship, Sora is granted the power of the Keyblade, a legendary weapon said to be able to defeat the shadowy creatures called the Heartless. Sora is then transported to a new world called Traverse Town, where we come across Leon, along with Aerith, Yuffie, and Donald and Goofy.
What's going on?
So it turns out that Donald and Goofy are out searching for King Mickey Mouse. Yes, that Mickey Mouse. And are also assigned to protect the Keyblade's chosen one, that being Sora. Thus, Sora, Donald, and Goof Troop must travel the world to find their lost friends while fighting off the Heartless, as well as several Disney villains led by Maleficent, whose goal is to capture the 7 princesses of hearts like Alice in Wonderland, Jasmine from Aladdin, and Kairi. Not sure how that last one's a Disney princess, but okay, sure. You'll be befriending the various characters from films like Tarzan, Aladdin, and even Peter Pan. And most of these worlds are simple retellings of their respective films, but there are a few worlds that tell more original plots like Pinocchio, Hercules, and Halloween Town. But while the series is known for its weird and hard to follow plotlines, Kingdom Hearts 1's story is the easiest to understand, which makes this the ideal game to start for newcomers. But as a heads up, Kingdom Hearts 1 becomes less and less relevant as the games go along, since a lot of the plotlines for this game get retconned in future entries. But that's only half of how Kingdom Hearts 1 became so well loved. This is the part of the video where I segue into the gameplay part. Kingdom Hearts 1 is an action RPG with hack and slash combat and platforming to boot. You'll be playing as Sora throughout the main game, while accompanied by 2 to 3 party members. And you're going to be running around whacking Heartless left and right, and occasionally platforming to traverse through the levels. We'll start things off with the kinds of abilities that Sora can acquire throughout the adventure. At the start of the game, you'll begin with Sora's awakening choices. You can choose between 3 weapons, the Dream Sword, the Dream Staff, and the Dream Shield. Now you may be thinking, oh, these choices just decide what kind of weapon I choose, right? Wrong. This is the most important decision in the entire game. Each weapon decides what kind of abilities Sora unlocks and at what level. And you'll have to discard one of the 2 other weapons you didn't choose. For example, picking the Dream Shield gives you abilities like Second Chance at level 36, while the Dream Staff grants its ability at level 90. Yikes. And if you choose the shield but discard the sword, you'll start with up to 8 item slots, but low magic points to compensate. So, in my opinion, the best weapon to pick is the Dream Shield. This grants you support abilities like Leaf Bracer and Second Chance much faster than the other 2 will. And whatever you do, do not pick the Dream Sword. While it may grant you stronger abilities early on, you won't get abilities like Leaf Bracer, which protects you from healing until level 69. Not nice. The second choice that's presented to the player is from the 3 kids on the Destiny Islands, and they will ask you life questions that affect how you level up in the game. If you pick all the first choices, you'll level up faster in the early game, but take longer to level up in the late game. While the third choice makes it harder to gain experience early on, but gain levels much faster in the late game. And the choice that I always go with is all the second choices, which lets you level up at a steady pace throughout the entire game. Now let's talk about some of the more offensive abilities that Sora can use in the game. Sora will need to fight Heartless to gain experience, and level up his stats to learn better abilities. He has a 3-hit combo at the start of the game, but you can unlock abilities like Combo Plus to extend how many hits you land in a string. Or you can gain abilities like Hurricane Blast and Gravity Break to change up your finishing hit. Sora can also parry incoming attacks, which will gain him some tech points to boot. Basically, tech points are higher experience rewards for exploiting an enemy's weakness, and you can learn the counterattack ability to strike back when parrying. Sora will also need to take into consideration support abilities to boot, like Scan, which allows you to see an enemy's health bar, the previously mentioned Leap Bracer, so you can't get hit while healing, along with Second Chance, which keeps you at 1 HP even after taking a critical hit. There are also abilities called Limits. These can be used by pressing the triangle button for some flashier looking combos, and will use up your MP meter when used. Some of the best limits in the game are the Strike Raid and Trinity Limit. Strike Raid throws your Keyblade like a boomerang at foes, while also making you completely invincible. And Trinity Limit will unleash a powerful blinding ray of light that nukes all foes on screen. So it's best to save this bad boy for rooms full of a lot of Heartless. And limits like Sonic Blade and Ars Arcanum can strike at foes as fast as Star Platinum can go all Oda on them Heartless. But melee attacks aren't the only way you can fight the Heartless. There's also the various magic spells you'll acquire. Much like Final Fantasy, you have 3 tiers of magic spells in the game. The 3 offensive spells are Fire, Blizzard, and Thunder, along with support spells like Cure, which heals you and the party at the cost of your full magic meter. The Arrow spell will cast a Gust of Wind on selected targets, and you'll want to use this since it increases your defense for a time. Then there's the Stop spell, which stops an enemy in their tracks and lets you get some free hits in. And finally, the Gravity spell, which completely flattens enemies and deals a lot of damage to boot. And occasionally, Sora will have to use his spells to solve puzzles, like using Blizzard to put out some candles to get chests, or casting Fire to open his door in Traverse Town. Now, all the spells have their own uses, but in my opinion, the best spell in the game is the Thunder spell. Thunder covers a wide area when cast, and deals a lot of damage to Heartless, making it the ideal spell to use when grinding for EXP. But magic isn't the only way to face off against foes. There's also the multiple Keyblades that Sora can use in his adventure. Keyblades are stat focused in Kingdom Hearts 1, meaning that they can increase Sora's strength, magic meter, attack range, and the odds of landing a critical hit. You'll start the game off with the iconic Kingdom Key, which is a good starting weapon, but it doesn't come with any bonuses. But then you'll unlock the Jungle King Keyblade after completing Deep Jungle, which has a better reach and occasionally deals critical damage. There's also the Wishing Star Keyblade, found in Traverse Town after completing the Monstro World and unlocking the chest in Geppetto's house. But while it does have a shorter reach than other blades, it will always finish combo strings with a critical hit. Some Keyblades, like the Metal Chocobo, which is unlocked after beating Cloud and Leon in the Hercules Cup, will decrease your MP meter by 1. But you can get a better Keyblade in the form of the Olympia Blade, after beating Hercules in his own tournament, which does not boost your MP, but increases your strength by 6 when wielded. And some of the most iconic weapons in the game include Oathkeeper and Oblivion. Oathkeeper raises your MP by 1, can land a string of crits, and enhances magic and summoning power as well. Oblivion increases strength by a buttload, but will reduce your max MP by 1, while Divine Rose is found after speaking to Belle in Hollow Bastion. This Keyblade is tied for one of the best blades in the game for its strong string of critical hits, and has a high strength that can match the best Keyblade in the whole game, the Ultima Weapon. A legendary Keyblade that is notoriously difficult to obtain, as you have to complete the Moogle Shop request to make this weapon at all. But when you finally do, nothing can stop you. Sora can also equip different rings to boost his stats. There are rings that increase your HP, MP, strength, and defense. But there are also a handful of rings that will boost your EXP gain from foes. And stacking these rings among your party is vital for grinding levels. And then there's your party members, Donald and Goofy. They are certainly there, alright. Occasionally, they'll do some decent hits, but these guys' AI is terrible. And the amount of memes that have transpired from Donald not healing Sora speaks for itself. But you can adjust their settings in the menus to use certain items and abilities sparingly. Most worlds will allow you to swap out either of them for a Disney character if you so desire. And whomever isn't in the current party will still earn experience and level up during battles. And you can only swap out your current party members via the save points. But Donald and Goofy's best use is for the various Trinity limits scattered across the worlds. As you progress through the game, you'll come across these heart-shaped icons on the ground, which can give various rewards for the party. Most worlds will have at least 4 or more to find, with the exception of Atlantica, which only has 1 near King Triton's throne room, and you'll unlock these naturally as the game goes on. There's also a handful of mandatory trinities to progress through the game, like the one in the Watergate in Traverse Town. There's the blue Trinity jump, the green Trinity ladder, the yellow Trinity push, along with the white Trinity detect, which usually gives the best rewards, so it's not available until the end of the game. And the red Trinity charge, in which Sora, Donald, and Goofy will charge something at full speed to get to new areas and rewards. And if that doesn't work, there's only one option left for the trio: use Goofy's head.
But I don't want to use my head! Ow!
So aside from the main party, is there anyone else who can help out Sora? Well, there are the various summons in the game. You can call upon Disney characters to help fight off the Heartless, and you'll unlock these new assistants as you progress with the game, once you speak to the Fairy Godmother in Traverse Town. But you will need to have both party members to bring out the summons onto the battlefield, with only one exception that we'll get into soon. The summons in the game include Simba, who is the first summon you get after acquiring the Earth Shine in Traverse Town. And you hold down the triangle button to unleash a deadly roar, but taking damage will interrupt the charge up, so be careful. Bambi is acquired from the Nature Spark after getting the first torn page, and he'll bounce around dropping MP orbs for the player, and maxing out the meter will have him drop restorative items and even synthesis materials too. And Sora's never had a summon like him before, because the genie can be unlocked after completing the first visit of Agrabah, who will use offensive magic to assist Sora when he's locked onto a Heartless, and is best used against large groups of foes. Dumbo is found within the chest inside a Monstro, and you can have him fly around to spray Heartless with the Splash command, and Sora will be completely invincible during the summon, making it great for tougher encounters. Mushu can be used after unlocking the Fire Glow from the Maleficent boss, who will shoot fireballs at targeted enemies, which is especially good against airborne foes. And the best summon in the game is, by far, Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell is unlocked after finishing the first visit to Neverland, and will constantly heal Sora and the whole party during encounters. Not only that, but she will remain in the battle unless Sora dies, and if he does die, she will heal him from death and leave for the rest of the battle, and your party will remain active while she's out, making her especially effective against bosses in the late to end game. And now let's talk about the multiple worlds in Kingdom Hearts 1. There are a grand total of 12 worlds in the game, with 8 of them being based off of their respective Disney films, and some worlds will have light puzzle solving to help break up the combat. The Destiny Islands is your tutorial level. You'll be running around the island hanging out with your friends, making rafts with your rival character, and you can challenge Titus, Selphie, Waka, and even Riku to gain experience. Your main goal is to find items to build the rafts over the course of 2 days, and you can find items to help out in the next world, like the Protect Chain for some extra defense. Then there's Traverse Town. Traverse Town serves as a sort of hub world for the rest of the game. You'll be returning to this world more than any other, with up to 4 visits in total. The first visit introduces regular enemies, the Blue Trinity, and your first magic spell in the form of fire, while the second visit has you delivering a book to this old loon from Sword in the Stone, and looking for the keyhole atop the tower to fight another boss. You also get access to a smaller world during this visit in the form of the 100 Acre Wood, which has short minigames focused on you befriending the tubby little cubby himself, Pooh Bear. But you'll have to come back to this world throughout the game when you collect a new torn page, of which there are 5 to be found. Your first proper Disney world can vary depending upon which route you take, but Alice in Wonderland is a good starting point. Wonderland is about as confusing as you'd expect. It's not clear on where to go and what to do, but basically, you need to follow the White Rabbit to the courtroom and find evidence to prove Alice's innocence. Then you have to make your way to the Bazaar Room and turn the lights on to get the boss to spawn. Next we have the Deep Jungle, which is by far the worst world in the game. It's weird and confusing on where to go and what to do, since the game doesn't give a good indicator on what you should do next. So you need to head to the base camp, gather slides for your Windows Movie Maker, swing over to the treetops, beat up a bunch of Heartless in 5 different areas, and then head back up to the climbing trees to rescue Jane. And then you have to head back to the camp and head through the bamboo thicket to fight the boss. Is any of this information told to the player? Absolutely not. You have to figure this stuff out on your own, dude. Olympus Coliseum is a tournament world with up to 7 cups you can fight in, and you'll unlock these by progressing through the game, so you have to come back and fight these tournaments to get some good rewards later on, like the previously mentioned Chocobo and Olympia Keyblades, along with the Yellow Trinity to boot. Agrabah is one of the better worlds in the game, where you'll be teaming up with Aladdin to rescue Jasmine from Jafar, by freeing the magic carpet in Al's house, helping Aladdin in the desert, making your way to the Cave of Wonders, and solve some puzzles to tackle Jafar. Monstro is one of the shorter worlds in the game, which has you searching for Pinocchio and Riku by running through parts of the whale's stomach. And boy howdy is it confusing. There are 6 chambers in total to get lost in, so you'll want to find chamber 4 for the first boss, and then make it to the throat to fight the last boss of the world. And you unlock the high jump ability to reach further areas in the game. And then there's Atlantica.
I'm about to skip this. Skip. But when does this game get good?
Was that the bite of 87?
Nah, forget what I said about Deep Jungle. This place is the actual worst. Based on The Little Mermaid, you'll be swimming your way so you dance while you play to put the kibosh on Ursula. And I hope you're not a fan of water levels because now you get to fight Heartless while swimming. Yay. Making it a world that forces you to learn new controls that grinds the game's combat to a halt. On top of that, you're locked out of using any of your limits or summons during this world, and you need to grab onto Echo the Dolphin to make it past currents to fight this Jaws-looking wannabe. That being said, Atlantica is optional. So if you want to save yourself a massive headache listening to Under the Sea for over an hour, just keep flying, brother. Then again, Sora does have a good old road trip from the Dolphin.
So, welcome to the Abyss. Road trip.
Anyways, Halloween Town has you teaming up with Jack Skellington by running around in the graveyard, solving some puzzles, and unlocking the way to Oogie Boogie's manor. Also, when you're trying to find Oogie's lair, you'll want to find the green door at the bottom of the manor, because the game does not tell you where this thing is at all. Neverland is one of the more straightforward worlds in the game. You join up with Peanut Butter Pan over here and sneak through Captain Hook's ship by climbing ladders and flying through the holes in the walls, and eventually you'll make your way to the Big Ben Tower to get the glide ability. Next, we have the Hollow Bastion, my favorite world in the game. You'll begin this world by losing your Keyblade, and have to rely on the beast to get kills. But what the game doesn't tell you is that you're able to still use your magic spells to fight off the Heartless. You'll need to solve puzzles to open the castle doors and unlock the first Riku boss, and then sort out the books in the library to attain all the emblem pieces so you can make your way to the castle chapel and score off against Maleficent. And after finishing the Riku fight, you'll have to return for a second visit to seal the keyhole, which is much shorter since all you need to do is make your way through the castle to get back to the Door to Darkness, and you can find the previously mentioned Oblivion Keyblade right before the Behemoth boss fight to boot. And finally, we have the End of the World, which gives off a sense of a graveyard world. Another very straightforward level, you fight out some of the toughest Heartless in the game, and fly your way down into the depths of the planet to track down the Seeker of Darkness. You also return to smaller areas from the previous worlds, all while a haunting version of Destiny played with remnants of previous Disney films surrounding you. If it wasn't for Hollow Bastion, I would say End of the World is the best level in the game, so I'll say it's a close second for me. Now you may be wondering, but Jude, how did we get to the Disney worlds? Well, you see, we have the totally good and fun mode of transportation known only as the Gummy ship. Neat. You'll be flying around in the vacuum of space to get to your world of choice. The default Gummy ship is trash. It has no health and will die very quickly on harder difficulties. So the game will give you these blueprints to forge new ships, or you can make your own custom ship to break the game with. It's pretty easy to make a super busted ship and speedrun these sections, but the game will eventually let you warp to previous worlds, and you can find these warp gates in later parts. But there are some surprises to be found in the cold vacuum of space, like being abducted by pirates, and the most dangerous creature to swarm the 7 space seas, space whales.
Captain!
And then we have the bosses. There are well over 40 bosses within the game, with a handful of them being optional and one new encounter added in the final mix version. The first boss involves Darkseid, who serves as a tutorial fight. You hit his body a couple times and he goes down without a hitch. Leon, on the other hand, is one of the more interesting encounters in the game. Most new players will get absolutely squall by squall, but if you're patient and wait for an opening, it's possible to beat him in this encounter to get some extra EXP. Then we have the Guard Armor, which has 2 unique encounters. The first go round is nothing too special. You hit his arms and legs a couple times, break the body, etc. But the second round has him switching his arms and legs and turning his body into a cannon. But the first real challenge of the game is Cerberus in Olympus. His attacks are tough to dodge and do a lot of damage, and he'll throw out a ground move that chases you for a while. He also has a lot more health than most bosses at this point in the game. So if you're gonna fight these giant puppers, you better wait till you do the Colosseum until after you beat Wonderland and Deep Jungle. The first Jafar fight is more annoying than difficult, as you spend most of it just chasing this bearded schemer around the map, while dodging his fireballs, lightning, and a slap on the wrist from the genie. And round 2 is even less annoying, but kinda boring. You jump around, beat Iago, grab the lamp, and that's really it actually. Then there's Ursula, one of the worst boss fights in the entire game. The first fight is annoying with the cauldron in the center, but round 2 is why this fight sucks. Her lightning strikes will hit you no matter where you are on the map, and she does a lot of damage up to this point in the game. And you'll need to swim not that way to avoid getting chomped by her shiny teeth and me. This is the kind of fight where you need abilities like Leap Racer to heal through her attacks. In Halloween Town, we have the Gambling Boogeyman. When Oogie hits the dice that moves the platform, you want to be in the same block that he's on so you can go to town on the gambling man that don't play fair. But in phase 2, he becomes the manor, and now you have to hit multiple purple spots to take down the Colossal Tower. And since KH1's platforming sucks, the fight ends up taking forever, since you can fall down so easily and have to start all over again. And then we get to the Maleficent fights. Her first fight is another easy one. You use the gravity spell to knock down her giant rock, whack her a couple times, and watch out for her meteors of heaven, unleash thy fury. Dragon Maleficent, on the other hand, is a whole nother story. This fight involves you dodging her tail swipes, chomp attacks, fireballs, and near the end, she'll cast a wall of flame that you'll need to glide over to avoid. While certainly a spike in difficulty compared to the first encounter, she does a good job of testing her skills up to this point in the game, and using spells like Arrow and summoning Tinkerbell will help mitigate the damage she throws out. And the most well-known boss in the game has to be Riku. Riku's first round in Hollow Bastion is another straightforward fight. You block him in the head, yada yada yada. Round 2, on the other hand, is what everyone remembers. You'll need to dodge his telegraphs and block his sidesteps to deal some counter combo damage, and casting Arrow will help in this boss like Maleficent. On top of that, in phase 2, you need to glide over the arena to avoid his desperation move, Dark Splicer. And you'll want to avoid using Guard when his hand begins to glow, since it staggers sore after a block. But the real reason why people remember this encounter is because you could not skip the cutscenes in the original PS2 game. So a lot of players ended up dying to this boss over and over again, and have this cutscene memorized by heart. And the last boss I want to mention is in the final world. After re-exploring previous worlds, you'll come across a surprise encounter with the devil from Fantasia, Chernobog. Despite not being able to block while flying, it ends up being a very fun fight, as you have to dodge his projectiles while flying across the arena to a night rendition of Night on Ball Mountain. And you need to fly away from his walls of flame when they show up, and once the boss is taken down, you're rewarded with a super glide ability afterwards, the best way to soar across the skies. Oh, but we're not done yet, people. We still have the post-game. Kingdom Hearts 1 features a whole lot for those wanting to get more content after the credits roll, such as finding all 101 Dalmatians across the world, which rewards you with the Eroga spell. There are also unique Heartless to get even more synthesis materials to use in the Moogle shop, where you can get better weapons and equipment like the previously mentioned Ultima weapon. And then there's the optional bosses. And if you thought the game was a walk in the park, these fights are here for you. There are a total of 6 noteworthy bosses that fall under this category. The first boss I'll talk about is Hades at the end of the Hades Cup. You have to fight over 50 rounds of Heartless to take on the god of the underworld himself. When he's blue, you dodge, and when he's red, you go to town on the god of the underworld. And beating him rewards the player with the Graviga spell. Trust me, you're gonna need it. Then we have my personal favorite, Kurt Zisa, fought in Agrabah and can be accessed via the magic carpet at Aladdin's house. At the start of the battle, bring in his summon like Tinkerbell for some extra heals, since he'll lock you out of using spells until you break his orbs and then go to town on the rattlesnake Conrad Osha. Then, in phase 2, you have to cast spells to break his barrier, and you can hit his shield to get some extra orbs to restore your magic in case you run out. And the third phase has you dodging a new devastating attack that is quite difficult to avoid, since you have to time your dodge rolls and even jump over some of these hacks to boot. So overall, a very solid and fun block with a cool and unique gimmick. The Ice Titan has 2 phases, but your main goal is to parry the Titan with icicles over and over and over again to hit him in the head, while jumping to avoid his stomps and dodging his ice orbs when phase 2 kicks in. And he'll cast Deep Freeze, which can nearly kill the player unless you glide away from the vortex. The Phantom, on the other hand, is one of the most annoying optional encounters in this game. The gimmick involves the Phantom casting a Doom spell on the Big Ben, which will perma-kill whoever the curse falls upon when the timer runs out. So you have to constantly check the clock and cast a soft spell while fighting this boss with different attacks. Red is fire, blue is blizzard, yellow is lightning, and white is melee. And he has a lot of health, so this fight ends up taking a while to boot. And your reward for beating this boss is, the Sabka spell. Seriously?
Whoa, this is worthless.
Next, we have the Unknown, a Final Mix exclusive boss that is unlocked after making it to the final world. This hooded Sith Lord is relentless for his onslaught of attacks. He'll constantly surround the arena with lasers and explosions to mess you up. And if you're not paying attention, he can curse Sora, which will kill him if he doesn't get the release command in the menu. On top of that, he has laser sword hands that do a high amount of damage to the player. So it's best to bring in summons like Tinkerbell to heal through his attacks, along with the gravity spell and gravity break so you can stun him. And beating this boss will reward you with the EXP necklace and Answer Report 13. But out of all the optional bosses, none of them compared to the hardest fight in the game, the main baddie from Final Fantasy VII, Sephiroth. Yeah, if you thought Unknown was bad, wait till you see what Sephiroth's got cooking in this one-on-one duel. There are 3 phases to this fight. Phase 1 has him slashing Sora with his long katana, which will catch you very quickly if you're reckless. He also has so much HP that the boss's health bar can't even keep up, along with pillars of fire that need to be dodged or rolled out of or healed through with Cure. Phase 2 has him leap across the arena while teleporting and running around the player to get some quick slashes. And in Phase 3, he'll use the Desperation move with the meteors and cast a Spirit Bomb to get the dodge roll to the center of. And being him rewards Sora with the Keyblade, the One-Winged Angel. The best advice I can give for this boss is to learn his attacks and be at a high enough level like 80 in order to beat him. And since he does a lot of horizontal slashes, you can jump over his attack with the high jump. Strike rate is also a great limit for this fight, since you're invincible and it's a guaranteed hit most of the time. And whatever you do, do not get hit by his Ascend, Heartless Angel move, since it reduces you to 1 HP and you lose all of your MP to boost. And unless you have Mega Elixirs, you might well close the door on this One-Winged Angel.
Ascend, Heartless Angel.
Okay, so let's go over some tips and fun facts about the game, shall we? Depending upon the requirements, you can unlock a secret ending after the credits roll that gives us a hint as to what's in store for us in Kingdom Hearts 2. The Final Mix version includes new cutscenes that aren't voiced over, but offer some foreshadowing to later events in the game, and change all of the Heartless colors from the original release too. When playing through the game, don't just ignore enemy encounters. The more you fight, the more levels you get. You can't access chests or even trinities while you're in combat, so you have to take care of those Heartless ASAP. The Moogle Shop is a pain in the butt to complete, requiring you to fight various mini-bosses to get synthesis materials. But if you really want to get those weapons, look up a guide, because this stuff is a lot to keep track of, holy moly. Donald and Goofy have better weapons than the Moogle Shop provides. If you head over to the Olympus Coliseum and fight the Hades Cup time trial, you're rewarded with the Save the King and Queen weapons. You can equip secondary healing items like potions, high potions, ethers, and mega ethers to restore MP, and elixirs and mega elixirs to restore most of your HP and MP. You can set up shortcuts to get to certain spells much faster, but you only have 3 shortcuts available in this game, so choose wisely. After the first visit of Agrabah, if you don't leave and head back into town, you can encounter NPCs that you can talk to. And in Traverse Town, after beating the second guard armor fight, you can find Pinocchio hiding away in Traverse Town. And he and Geppetto will become permanent residents of Traverse Town after beating the Monstro World, where you can get the Wishing Star Keyblade and extra blueprints for more Gummy ships. When finishing the second visit of Hollow Bastion, if you head back to the library, you can speak to Aerith up to 3 times to get the rest of the Answer Reports and the 3rd tier spell in the form of Kiraga. So hopefully this video has given you a good idea on what this game is and how it plays. If you wish to purchase this game, it is now available via the HD collections on 1.5 plus 2.5. Which is now available on all modern platforms, and was later released on PC via the Epic Games Store, the best version to play. Which is what I would say if the games weren't just released on Steam, which includes a higher res texture pack not included in the other versions. Kingdom Hearts 1 is a great game that, while showing signs of age, is still the best starting point for those wanting to get into this franchise. You know, if they could just improve upon the combat and movement, I think it'd be really cool if they got a sequel of some kind. Or, you know, we can go play cards. It was the game that jump-started a brand new and long-running franchise that's still going strong to this day. And hopefully one day Square will grace it with the presence of Kingdom Hearts 4. You know, if it ever comes out. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And thank you all so much for over 500 subscribers. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you all next time. Take care.